Hey friends, what is up and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell from the title of today's video, I wanted to sit down and show you all of the books that I've accumulated over the last month. Now, disclaimer, most of these are library books. If you guys are not familiar, I am trying to read the books that I own, and for books that I really want to read that I don't actually own, I have been going to the library. From there, if I do like the book, if it's a book that I will reread, if it is a book I will recommend to people, if it is a book that I would like to pass on to somebody or have available for them to borrow, I will then purchase the book. So I do have a few of those in here, but primarily this is a library haul. I also have some gifts from people, but I'm gonna get into that here in a second. The first books that I wanted to start with are actually the books that I got from the library. These are books that I'm really excited to read that I have been seeing around, but I have also seen a few mixed reviews, so I didn't know if they would 100% be for me. The first book that I have is a book that I'm doing a whole reading vlog on. I'm actually going to try to film that today, and that would be Daisy Jones and the Six. I've heard a lot about this. From what I know of this book, it follows our main character, Daisy, obviously. And she is much younger. She does live in the 80s, I believe, and she does hang out on like Skid Row, in the music scene, in the drug scene, and this actually just kind of showcases her life. I'm sorry if there's like a glare on these. Obviously, library books are covered in plastic, and I hate it. But I have heard wonderful things about this. I have heard a few mixed reviews. I have never read anything by Taylor Jenkins Reid, so I'm really excited to get around to it. But because she is a new to me author, I didn't want to go out and buy this book, even though I have heard stunning reviews, because I don't know if her writing style is going to sync with me. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I did end up borrowing this from the library, and keep an eye out for the reading vlog. Hopefully it's going to go up this week. Hopefully. We'll see if that actually happens. So the next book I have here is a book that I've actually already started. I am about 40 pages into it and really liking it so far. It is by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, and it's What If It Is Us. This actually follows our main characters, Arthur and Ben. They do meet one day in a post office, and there's a little bit of a meet cute. They kind of start, you know, they obviously are a little bit interested in each other, but something happens and they are torn apart and they do not reconnect at that moment. And the story actually just follows them trying to find each other, trying to reconnect, and different dual perspectives on their journey to getting back together, essentially. What I really like about this is one of the main characters is actually suffering from a post-breakup. The other main character has never really been in love. He's in a new location. It actually does take place in New York, which I think is the reason why I'm loving it so much already. I love New York as a setting. New York is one of my favorite places on the entire planet. If I could live anywhere, that's where I would live. So for me, this book has a really big draw just for the setting alone, but I do really like the characters so far. I can't tell who wrote what because I've read one book by Becky Albertalli and I've read absolutely nothing by Adam Silvera, but so far I do actually really like this. Like I said, I'm only 40 pages in, so we'll see what I think of it by the end of the book. Now, the next book I have here is actually a book that I've been seeing around and I've heard such mixed reviews on it, and I was really interested in it in the beginning. A couple of reviews I've seen from people I trust, they absolutely hated this book. A couple of people absolutely love this book and I trust their reviews, so I was like, I don't want to buy this book. I just want to borrow it from the library. It'd be Once and Future Past. This is by this is by Amy Rosetta Capetta and Corey McCarthy. I actually think the two authors were just recently engaged, so that's really exciting for them. This is an Arthur retelling though, like Arthur, like Sword in the Stone Arthur. And I'm really excited to read it because I do believe this is a queer retelling, like female queer retelling of the story as well. So that's really cool. I don't know much about it. I do want to get around to reading it this month though. My library is pretty great when it comes to checking out physical copies of books. You can have them for quite a while. You can renew them online and have them for months if you want, as long as there's not a really long waiting list. So we'll see when I get around to reading this, but there is also a book bingo-a-thon going on right now, and this is the main book for that, and I will be reading it, not necessarily for the readathon because I'm not doing the readathon, but I am incredibly interested in actually reading this book regardless. The next book I have here is a bit of a weird one. Consider it a guilty pleasure. It is Jackie Chan's autobiography. It's called Never Grow Up. This is weird, I know. I saw this at the library and I adore Jackie Chan. He is somebody for me in my childhood that I grew up with. He was in all of the movies I loved, like the Rush Hour series, some of my absolute favorites. And I am incredibly interested in his story. I do believe that he comes from a pretty brutal background. I know that he does have issues with his family, although I believe now he's kind of like rekindled that and trying to take care of them. I know his mom wasn't necessarily the best mother growing up, and I'm really excited to see how through his adversities he's able to make such a I don't know, he's just wonderful. And he is obviously incredibly famous and he's obviously done very well for himself. So I want to see how in the face of adversity, he's able to get through that and kind of create this kingdom for himself, essentially. And I just really like him. And I think the title's really cool, like Never Grow Up. I'm hoping it has a little bit of his personality because from what I've heard, he seems like a really down-to-earth kind of human. And I'm excited to see if this translates well in his book. I don't know. And also he's just so cute. Look at him. Now, the next book I have here is a book that I have heard a lot of mixed reviews on. And I think that this might be a book that's going to take me a while to get around to because there are a few trigger warnings. It'd be Sadie by Courtney Summers. Once again, I've heard really mixed reviews about this from people that I absolutely love. They say that it was not like it was like a 2-star read for them, and that's really discouraging. I believe Sadie's sister, or Sadie herself, I'm not sure, is kidnapped or murdered, and the main character, who is, let's see, Sadie. Okay, so Sadie is the main character. Her sister is killed, and there is a broadcaster who is trying to pursue the story, I believe, and it is done in like a weird kind of like podcasty form, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know a whole lot about this book, and reading other people's reviews, it was still kind of confusing, so I think overall the book might be a little bit confusing, but it does have like more of a mystery aspect to it, and that is actually why I picked it up. I've been trying to read more mysteries, but I'm really weary about getting into thrillers as a whole. There are a few that I really liked and it has opened my eyes to it. But I wanted to use this book kind of as a transition into that because obviously it is just a normal, I believe it is a YA novel. Let's see. Yeah, it does say teen on it. So it is a YA novel and I feel like that'd be a really good way to kind of get into the thriller or mystery genre as a whole. So we'll see what I think of this. It might actually turn me off to that. So if you have any good recommendations for thrillers, leave them down below because other than The Dry, I haven't really read any and I do want a few more to read. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. Also, let me know what you thought of this and if I should not read it, if it's gonna put me in a slump. Let's see what the majority says because I don't want to read something that I'm not going to enjoy that's going to make the rest of my reads seem not enjoyable. Now the next book I have here, I have seen everybody and their mom rave about. And it'd be Circe by Madeline Miller. Now this is a book that I have seen, I would say like one negative review for. Like I've seen one person say they didn't like it, but this was a very, very hyped book. And out of every single other person that has read it, I have heard that it is phenomenal. I was actually training a guy at my job a couple months ago and he was reading this and he was really liking it. So I'm really excited. I don't know much about it. I know it does have Greek mythology in it though. And that is something that I've always been very interested in. It is always something that I have really paid attention in school for, been really excited for in school. So I know it's something that if I can get through school when it comes to this, I'm gonna probably really like this book because I do like Greek mythology. Hercules is one of my favorite Disney movies for a reason. So I'm really excited to read this. Let me know down below what you thought of it because like I said, I don't know a lot about it. I just know that it's Greek gods and that's like it. So, I mean, I'll probably like it. I don't know, but let me know what you thought of it down below. I have like zero idea what half of these books are about. My bad. Now, the next book I have here is the final book in a series, and it'd be Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is the final of, let's see, so there is Caraval, there is Legendary, and then this is Finale. I own Caraval and Legendary. I did want to buy this, but it wasn't really in my budget right now, so I did end up just picking it up from the library because I do want to read it as soon as possible. My favorite of the series is not Caraval, it is Legendary. Legendary, I feel like, had a little bit more of a story to it. I feel like Caraval was very fantastical and magical, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Legendary had more of a story. It had more substance to it, so I'm really excited to see how the two come together in this because the first one and the second one are told from completely different perspectives, but involving the same characters, which was really exciting for me. So I'm really excited to finally figure out who is a bastard in this story, who is not a bastard, and which character is going to essentially reign supreme for me because this series has captivated me for some reason. I keep saying for some reason because a lot of people didn't like this series, but I am head over heels in love with the characters, head over heels in love with the story itself. It's very reminiscent for me of when I was younger and I was reading about magic and really hoping and wishing that it could be true, and that is what this series did for me. So I am also really, really excited to finally get around to reading this and seeing what I think of it. I will eventually be purchasing it. I'm 100% positive that I'm absolutely going to love this. Now, the last book I have here, we're actually doing for our bi-monthly, it's called Read, Rate, review, I believe. There's going to be a video going up about that, but if it's listed, if I already uploaded it, I'll put it up here in the cards for you guys. But it is Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. This is, I don't know actually. The reason why I borrowed this from the library is because this was our pick for our book club, and I don't know a whole lot about it other than, once again, it is a retelling, and it is a female retelling. It's one of those like alternate, like there's a Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, like that kind of vibe is what I sort of get from this book. I believe there are pirates, which is really exciting to me. Obviously, I think the main character is a female, which is also really exciting for me because I'm looking for more like enjoyable female main characters. That is something that I really struggle with. I have trouble finding main characters that are female that I really enjoy. So we'll see what I think of this. This was Bex's choice, I believe, Bex's channel down below, and we'll see what I think of it. And once again, if the video is already up, I'll list it in the eye and down below for you guys if you want a little bit more information. Now, the next few books I want to talk about are actually books that I got from my book of the month. Now, I didn't subscribe to book of the month automatically. I've seen it around obviously a lot. I have a customer that comes in and she talks about it a lot, and she's actually the reason why I ended up signing up for it, as well as I got an email for a coupon. So normally the way book of the month works is for $15 a month, which I think is very manageable. You get your choice of, there are 5 books, you get a choice of 1, and they're all new releases. And I saw, I've been seeing it around, but I saw something that said for this month you could get 2, you could get credit for 2. And there were 2 books that I really wanted to purchase. The first one that I want to talk about is The Kiss Quotient. This is a book that I actually already read and loved. This does have autism rep in it. It is a little romancy love story. It is an adult contemporary, and I really genuinely enjoyed it, and I'm so glad to have it. The only thing I don't like about book of the month books is there's nothing on the author in the back. And if I'm not mistaken, our author is also autistic, so I think it would have been nice to have a little bit more about her in the back. So I did end up getting this from book of the month. I think these covers and these editions are really pretty, so that's kind of nice. On the inside of them, it also does have the book of the month stamp on it, so you do know, and the cover has book of the month on the top corner as well. So you do know it is a book of the month book. So now the reason why I actually signed up for book of the month is because of the release of this book, and because I wanted to get both of them at the same time, and that would be The Bride Test. Now this book is a little bit different. It also matches me, and I really like that. This follows, our main character is a male this time, and his mom is trying to find him a bride. She's trying to get him to settle down, and he is actually autistic. So his mom goes back to Vietnam to essentially get a mail order bride for him, brings her back over, and they are trying to fall in love. And our main character, if I'm not mistaken, believes that he's basically unlovable, that he's unable to care because of his autism. And our other main character is there to try to convince him that that is not how it is, because autism doesn't inhibit you in that way. I do have 2 autistic brothers, and I love them dearly, and they both care immensely for people in their lives. So I'm excited to see that aspect of this book, and that is why it really appealed to me. Once again, this is the other book of the month book that I got, and I will let you guys know what I think of it. I'm thinking about reading it next, so I'll probably do a review on it when I do finally finish it. Now I'm gonna get into the gifts that I actually received this month. It's a little bit weird. The first 2 that I want to talk about are actually technically from my roommate, because he is away in Germany and I'm like all by myself in our apartment, and that makes me very anxious. And so he sent me an Amazon gift card and basically said, treat yourself, which is an ongoing joke that the both of us have. Every time I go to buy something, he's like, treat yourself. Like, it's very funny. But anyway, he did send me an Amazon gift card, and naturally I decided to buy books. I wanted to buy books that I've been wanting for a very long time. The first one, however, is Ruse by Cindy Pon. I will list the review for this down below. I did actually borrow this from the library at the same time as I ordered it. My hold from the library came in the same day that I ordered it. So I did read quite a bit of it. I ended up DNFing this at page 128. You guys will see in my wrap up. Like I said, I'll list the review down below, but I did want to get this. Want is one of my favorite novels of all time. It does follow our main character, Jason, and they live in China, and everything is covered in smog, and there's a company who kind of runs everything. So Jason actually steals the daughter, kidnaps the daughter of the man who runs that in an effort to try to make sustainable resources available for everybody. And I thought it was such a cool book. However, this one, a little bit different, but I did want to show you that I hauled it. Am I going to unhaul it? Fuck no. Am I going to try to read it again later? Yes. But for me, not the best book. It does have an LGBT rep in it, which I really liked, and obviously it has a completely Asian cast written by an Asian author, and I really appreciated that. The reviews for this are fantastic, however, mine not so much. So I'm trying to figure out if I was just in a funk, but I will go back later and attempt to finish it. I don't know when that's going to be because obviously my TBR is quite long. Now, the next book I got from that gift certificate would actually be Nixia Uprising by Scott Rankin. This, if you're not familiar, I read Nixia as an arc when I first started my channel from NetGalley. It was one of the first arcs I was ever given, and I fucking love this series. This follows a bunch of characters. They are all under the age of like 21, I believe. They are sent to mine the beginning of the book, they're actually, the first book, pitted against each other in an effort to see who is strong enough to actually go to this foreign planet to mine this substance called Nixia. And this being the third volume, I don't really want to tell you what this one is about because I don't want to give it away, but there are a lot of things that I'm needing Scott to resolve in this book, like questions that I need answered, characters that I need to know what's going on with them, and I'm really excited to read this. This is gonna make me cry, I already fucking know it will, but I did haul this because I need it. And I love the other two so much that I know I'm gonna love this one, so to complete the series, I did end up just purchasing it instead of borrowing it from the library. Now, the last two books that I have here are actually sent to me from Boston. I will list Boston's channel down below. I adore her, and she did a video when she hit 2,000 subscribers, and she, did like a Q&A, and then at the end of that, she actually decided to send a few of us who have kind of inspired her or encouraged her to stay here or made her feel welcome on BookTube. She sent some of us some books, and I wanted to show you guys the books that she sent me because I love her. I don't even know how she got my Amazon wish list because these are both on my Amazon wish list, and she knew. And one of them came from Amazon and one of them did not. So the first book she sent me is the one that actually came from Book Depository, I believe. No, this one came from Amazon. I don't know. Anyway, it is The Poet X. Now, this is a book by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a book that I have seen a lot. It is a slam poetry book, so it is primarily told in slam poetry. I don't know if you guys can see that, which is really exciting for me. I've heard really good things about this. I know that it is a good representation for Black Americans, and it is something like, you're really into poetry, you're really into like heartfelt writing or like different types of writing, you'll really like this. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I've heard such great things about it that I did want to pick it up to see if I liked it, what I thought of it, support the author kind of thing. So I'm really glad that Boston actually just sent it to me. And the last book I have here is a book that I've spoken about a few times on my channel that I borrowed from the library but didn't own. And I'm really glad she sent it to me because I love this book and I want to talk about it and I want to pass it on to people. And it'd be Autobiography by Christina Lauren. This is a book that our main character is a bisexual boy and he moves back to Utah from living in California, where he has been out of the closet primarily the whole time that he lived there. And unfortunately, moving back to Utah, he does go back in the closet. Now, he's an author. Him and his best friend are authors, and they join this writing class. And essentially, he falls for the Mormon boy who runs it. He is an already published author, so he does come back to teach to the class. And it's a little bit about self-discovery and about their story and about making life what you want it to be, essentially. And I really genuinely loved this story. I think the love story was really cute. I feel like the representation for Mormons was really good in this as well. It doesn't really paint them necessarily in the worst light. It's just more of a realistic light and kind of how things can be. And I really enjoyed that. And I feel like the reason why I love this book so much is actually the authors did a lot of interviews and researches when it comes to the Mormon community as a whole. So I really appreciate that as well. So if you're looking for a little bisexual rep, you'd really like this book. All right, guys, so that is all of the books that I have hauled for one reason or another in the last couple of months. I am eternally grateful to have such wonderful people in my life, and I'm eternally grateful for having such a wonderful library system available in my city as well. We have one of the best libraries in the country. We've actually won awards for it, so I know I'm incredibly privileged to have access like this. If you are somebody who also wants to be able to borrow books and you don't necessarily want to, if you're like me, you have anxiety, you don't want to go out and do it, or maybe you have like a smaller library system, you can use Overdrive, you can use Libby. There are other resources online. I think like Comixology also has one to where you're able to get books to borrow. Also on Kindle, there are people who make their library available for borrowing as well. I don't know a whole lot of information about that, but I'm sure if you Google it, you're able to find it. And I really appreciate that. So if you want to get your hands on any of these books, I would check your library first. But yeah, I love you guys a lot. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below your favorite, if you've read any of these, what your favorite was of any of the books that I've hauled, which ones I should probably get to first. But I love you guys a lot. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!